How is everyone? Don't all answer at once.
Super fantastic.
Oh, okay, you're going first. Let's hear it.
Oh, well, on Thursday afternoon, I found out that a manager that had also been with Savers for 15 years was fired, and I was being asked to go and replace him at his store in Mill Creek. I've already been a store manager at that store before, like 11 years ago. So, um but it meant that the manager I've been mentoring for the last 3 years, who's ready to be a store manager, would take my spot in my store. And so that and a little bit of extra money, and I was like, man, maybe this is what I need to like not hate my job so much. I'm bored at my job, and I think I hadn't realized that until I kind of got excited about going into a store and fixing it, which I love to do. And that's like what I did for the first 6 years that I was a store manager. Is like I didn't last long in many stores. I would do good, kick ass, make money, and they'd send me to the next store. And so, um, I'm not sure how I feel about it. My today was like my first official day there, and I took my little bells because I can't smudge, and I took a freaking huge, I don't know what I did with it, a huge bottle of cleansing spray, and I used almost a whole bottle. And I just like spray. I'm like jingling shit and spraying stuff. I'm like, it's gonna smell like hippies in here for a couple days, forever if I'm lucky. And I'm just oh, but yeah, so yeah, at one point after throwing away so much garbage, like just out of I just like wanted a 4 foot space in my desk to like be able to kind of breathe and function. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God, do I feel like crying? What is happening inside my body right now? Like, do I want to cry? Did I make a bad choice? Oh my God, is it 3 o'clock yet so I can leave and go get my fucking nails done? And then I realized I hadn't eaten all day and I was like, oh, let's eat. Even though it's almost time to leave, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Lots of deconstruction and chaos
Yeah.
forming into something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you immediately are like, okay, let's clear the palette, clear the space. Okay, I'm feeling emotions. Why? Is it me? Do we need a snack and a nap? Oh, I do. That's the very first go-to.
I'm like, why do I feel like this? And I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten. I haven't eaten since I need to eat. Oh, and drink water. I'm all speaking of that. I
And
need
drink
to go get my
water.
water bottle. Yeah.
Got the
So
water too.
yeah.
Mm. Who else would like to share?
I'll go. So, I have gotten into drawing. I'm not very good yet, but oh god.
Oh my goodness. Says the girl who doesn't draw, who says she doesn't draw.
So I've been doodling all day.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
And then like, don't laugh. My Pikachu looks like shit, but I did it.
I knew it was a Pikachu.
I love
I
it.
knew it was a Pikachu too. I
No.
like it all looks so good.
Look at you. Look who can draw. And I love you have your little wiener dog in there.
Yeah, that's really hard to draw. I Pinterest it and I was like, how do you draw this dog? And it was step by step, and I broke a couple pencils out of frustration. I'm like, this is hard to draw a sausage.
I love it. Creative outlet, expression. So good.
Yeah, so I'm not to where I want to be, but it's better than what I thought I could do in a day. Because I went and bought me some handy dandy, so I'm scared of paint right now, but I got the acrylic markers to start playing with it. And I finished my wrapping of my drum this morning, and I'm going to post it. It just might break my heart.
You
So,
can just post it sharing, and then you can, if people ask, decide if you want to sell it.
yeah, I don't know. It's been a very emotional day letting go of this drum or thinking about letting go of it. Like, I feel like my heart is like getting shredded right now over a drum.
And it may not be the time yet.
I think it's my drum,
Or
but
there's the magic that comes in when the person finds the drum, it shifts your heart. So there's a lot of them that were like mine, and then the moment their person connected with it, like something inside rearranges. So it could,
You'll know, because the ocean, that first ocean drum that I made that was like the half, and you like it reminded me of the beach that I like spent all this time painting and repainting, and I did not think I would be selling that drum until I sat there watching that woman, listen to the ocean for 5 minutes. And I was like, she's all, I want you to make me one of these. And I was like, I think that one's actually yours. So,
yeah, it's definitely my baby. Because I've shared it in a couple things, I don't know. But like right here, this actually had red dye in it, and no red came out of it. So it's like a little shadow drum. But it had red and green, and none of that came out. And I was like, oh, it's because I played my shadow drum way too much.
you infused it. They do have a mind
Yeah.
of their own.
So I don't know. I'm good though. Um, I don't know. I don't feel like I have anything else to share.
Okay. Who else would like to share?
I guess I'll go. Um, so I'm done with Mend. Everything's out of my office. Um, and not all of it is home yet. But anyway, it's in my garage. But anyway, so I'm done. I closed the space. I did kind of like a thank you for what the space did do. And then I start full time at Sunrise, which is the new place. Um, so anyway, that starts tomorrow. I don't know. I feel like I'm in kind of a weird place, but I'm glad that at least one part's done. I also found out yesterday from my new boss because I'm in the process, like, so I'm credentialed with insurances, but then getting like re-credentialed under the new space. Anyway, one of the insurances that I thought I was credentialed under Mend, I haven't been for 2 years. So like, I don't know how they've been doing the billing.
Huh. Good thing you're not associated with that anymore.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, she's like, if they ever get audited, that could be like a lot of money. And I'm like, well, I never touched the billing, so hopefully they don't come after me. Right? My thoughts exactly. So anyway, so we're done with that. It's figuring out life.
Lots of that in between shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys all felt that? Like, it almost feels like there's been this bubble that had so much pressure and now it's like it's popped and things are starting to like land in or it pops and I keep seeing like Dorothy in Oz like all of a sudden and we're in Oz. What? Where the fuck am I? What is this reality? So it's
Yeah.
like the other side of the tumultuous whirlwinds.
I feel
But
like
a little
I'm
bit disorienting too, at the same,
yes, yes.
or
And then
displaced, I should say.
yeah. So at least work's sort of figured out. Then there's still other shit, but it is what it is.
Well, congratulations on getting into the new place, out of the
Thank
old
you.
sea, making that
Yeah.
jump.
Oh, one other thing is so as I was leaving, Dove was on the roof. So at least this dove didn't die. So
Live birds are great.
yeah.
The first one, you will die if you continue to go. Are you not seeing this? Okay. Yes, you got the message. We'll stay living. And it's funny because this morning when I went outside for my morning meditation, a dove landed on my drum and was just sitting there, like, hey. I was like,
Nice.
oh. And I didn't have my phone out there with me, or I would have taken a picture, but I forgot until you mentioned that. I was like, oh yeah, this morning the dove landed on my drum. I'm like, that would be the perfect picture if only I had a camera. But now you can all visually just tune into that, and it's as if I did. Wonderful. Who else would like to share? Chantel, you're not on mute.
Oh, I'm not.
Oh,
Oh, hi.
you must be next.
Um, I don't even know. I've just been taking all of the advantages of my kids being in school and making lots of things and um yeah, I I don't know what the beginning of Devin's story was, but I also sold a drum that was mine. Um, Sometimes when I go to markets, I'll bring my personal drums, not even all of them. Some will just be like, come with me. I'm like, okay, let's go. And I was at the Renaissance Fair in Mona, and a woman who has bought in drums from me before found me and bought five more, which was wild. Um, but she was looking at one of my, it was a while back. I went to a mountain man rendezvous, and one of the mountain man men had an elk hide that he had field processed. And it was so cool. It was so unique. It was like, I'm pretty sure he processed it with the serrated blades. So it was all textured and awesome. And she looked at it and asked the questions. And I'm like, yeah, that one's mine. And she's like, oh, okay. And so they went about their business, went to the rest of the fair. They got to the car, and her husband came back and he's like, she can't stop thinking about that drum. And I'm like, hold on a second, let me ask the drum. And so I grabbed her and I held her to my chest and I'm like, are you going to a new home? And it was a big fat yes. And it was funny because I have she doesn't help me at any of my other markets except for the Renaissance Fair just because she wants an excuse to play dress up. And so my cousin was there and it was so funny just watching her being like, what the fuck are you doing? She's a skeptic. she's she's a non-believer of the woo. Although she's getting the spiel down pretty well because of the scientific part of it and like the part that can be quantifiable. Um, so I think she's actually morphing into a believer. But Yeah, I asked my drum, I'm like, are you mine? And it's like, no. And so I relinquished her to her new home, and it was sad, but it's okay.
Well, and grief is a sign that we loved
hmm
and how big we loved. Which drum was it? I'm curious now.
It was so it was a 20-inch elk hide. It was kind of pale like deer, but it was very textured. I also got the hoop at the Mountain Man Rendezvous. So it was a um steam bent cedar hoop. And I specifically like when I made it, it's like don't put anything in me. So it was like all about clarity. It had a clear crystal quartz in the handle and she sounded so good.
We're just the in-between stewards.
Yep. And she's like, I'm not for you anymore. And I'm like, okay. And that's happened to me before where I'm like, it's my drum. And then the drum's like, I'm not your drum. And I'm like, God damn it. I'd like to keep one for once, please.
Been there, done that. That's why I currently don't have
Search.
any womb drums. Like, no, really, this is my womb. I poured my own blood on it. Oh.
Yep. So that was awesome. Like, I mean, it was sad. I'm like, oh, bye. I even like as he walked away with it, he looked back and he's like, you want to say bye one more time? I'm like, bye. Catch you on the flip side.
Well, then it's really cool when you do happen to see those drums again because they
hmm
feel so different after being in the hands of somebody else for a while. And usually, what happens to me, it's a surprise. Like I forget who has which
hmm
ones, and so all of a sudden the drum comes shows up, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you!" Ah.
Uh-huh.
Really fun. It's a fun game with spirit.
Yep. Uh, other than that, I mean, oh, during the I know it was technically the drum practitioner call. Did you see the big long message that I wrote in it? I was on the call, but I was
Yeah.
at a concert.
Did you watch the replay?
No, because I
Okay.
didn't get it
I
in the
answered it
email.
on the replay.
Okay, cool.
So
Okay,
yeah, I can send you the link again.
okay. Because I don't think I got it. Because I looked for it. Because I usually don't watch well, I don't watch the replays because I'm usually on. But
Yeah, we went into detail. So
okay, cool.
I'll make sure I have it uploaded, I believe. So I'll just send you the
Okay,
link.
okay, good.
Hey, Emily, do you want to share next? You've had a intense week.
I have had an intense week. It's been a crazy, crazy ride of a week. Um, but um, so those of you that don't know, I had to take my husband to a detox center this week. Um, and we had a pretty scary incident at the house beforehand, but thankfully he was willing to go to treatment um, for alcoholism. And he's back home. He's back home now. I went and picked him up yesterday. Um, and so far he's doing okay. And we've been doing AA meetings every day. And he has an appointment tomorrow um, at a place for assessment and stuff like that that we have to do. We may have to change it to another place because of our insurance. Um, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. We have Select Health and he has Medicare. He's disabled. He's on Social Security disability, so he has Medicare as well. And but yet Select Health is our primary insurance. But they say, well, we can't. We have to bill Medicare, and we don't take Medicare. Like, you don't have to bill them because they're not. they're like, yes, we do. And I'm like, I don't think it doesn't make any sense to me. But I think that's just a redirection to something else. So it's okay. I don't feel bad about it. And he's right now is in a good place, much better place than we were last week. So that's a very good thing. Um, and so, we're having to move at the end of the month. And the plan was going to be that I was going to stay here, move in with my son, and he was going to go up to Richfield. And it's not, that can't happen. He won't survive if that's the case. And so we're trying to now scramble and figure out how to do all the things here because I kind of was like, okay, I'll wait, you know. Like we've had time, we've had a couple of months, and I found out, we were gonna have to move before I went to Idaho, for my mom's memorial. And I kept just having the feeling like I was like, no, I can't now. I can't look now. Now's not the time. I don't know why, but just something is coming and I need to wait until after. And I figured out what I needed to wait for. I think this situation and um I when I took him into the detox center, so my oldest son struggled a lot with addiction. He's clean and sober now, thank goodness. But we had lots of in and out of treatment facilities and all the things for a while. And there was a counselor of his. Well, when I worked in the hospital, so I've always doing the medical record type stuff, but when I worked in the hospital, one of the ladies that worked with me, her husband was a drug and alcohol counselor. And he kind of helped me navigate like how to get him into a treatment, like how to figure that part out. And and every time Matthew would mess up and have to go back to treatment again, lo and behold, this guy would be there. And so he was always able to be his therapist through these different treatment centers. It wasn't always the same treatment center, different treatment centers and stuff, and really helped him change his life. And we just really connected with him. And so I took my husband into the detox center, and we're sitting there and we're talking to the nurse, and this guy peeks his head around the corner, and I just broke. It was him. And I was like, yeah, this is where he's supposed to be, like you can't plan that stuff. I had no idea that's where he was, and or even I had no idea where he was. And just the fact that he was there and it was when he was supposed to be there. And it was just, I've just had lots of, I don't know, I said this the other day and it baffles me, but feeling hope, even though it's a shit show. Like I'm not questioning why I'm hopeful. I'm just grateful that I am. But yeah, I don't know. But I think kind of like your text said, um my my path has been leading me places and this is one of those places I think. And so I'm just here to walk it and to do it and to learn what I need to learn and um hopefully to get my husband back.
Mhm.
So
And
that would be amazing.
I especially love that we all get to see the journey with you, remembering, a few months ago where it was like, I don't know, I think I need to leave him. Something needs to change. I'm not going to do this anymore. I need change now. And it's like, okay. And sometimes we can go in the space of, oh no, I created this mess. Like for me, I remember, gosh, 11, almost maybe 12 years ago, when I demanded to God, because I was still religious then, like, I'm like, I don't have the relationship and the level of love that I was promised. Like, I know there's more. I would like this, please. I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I need this change. And literally 2 weeks later, my entire life erupted. And I remember having some feelings of guilt, like, oh no, I made this mess. Oh no. And it's like, no, 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 no. This is for our highest good. And it also, I think, shows you the power you have to create your reality. And when you realize that the reality you're experiencing isn't what you want, okay, here we go. The witch is in, and she's commanded shift and to look at these things and not turn a blind eye to them anymore and stuff and suppress. And so, I know it's very uncertain and it's the whirlwind as you're on your way to Oz. And
Yeah.
it feels like everything's flown around, especially just this year with your mom and everything beforehand. But I also think it's very much an attribute to the power you have to create the change you want and to do it without being afraid, but continuing that hope, like, oh, nope, it's just a really big shed and a really big awareness coming to the surface. And even though it's hard, I love that you have that hope still. Because you should, because
Yeah.
from the outside, it's like, oh, it makes perfect sense.
Hmm. Yeah. And I'm just grateful that I have my drums and that I can snot all over them and it doesn't matter. And
If you end up selling them
you
later,
know,
somebody will celebrate the snot. I can say from
they
personal
will.
experience. I'm like, that's my
They
snot,
will.
just so you know.
Yep.
Not going
Yep.
to sell them
And
and then ending up selling them.
yeah. So I don't think that I could be where I am right now if I didn't have all the things I've learned, you know. There's so many times and I would have just been in a codependent spiral and just out in the nothings and being the micromanaging caretaker thinking I need to keep everybody alive and there's just more level peace about it. And I'm not delusional. I mean, I realize that with addiction, you never know. You never know if it's going to stick or how long it will stick or any of those things. But I'm just doing my best to just like everybody else, take it one day at a time.
Mhm.
So I'm okay to do that today.
And
Well,
finding
and I think
center.
another thing I want to celebrate, Emily, is like the fact that you not only like in middle of all of that, which is so much, like you still did the drum ceremony and held beautiful space and like were able to show up for yourself as well as for other people, including me. So, yeah, so it's really amazing.
Thank you.
I feel like when life is falling apart, that's when we do feel called to go to those experiences. It actually is what gives us that strength from within.
Hmm.
Almost every really big retreat I've had some type of loss or heartache right before. And at one point I was like, okay, I'm done with this. And then like my dog passes away or something. And I'm like, oh, there's always something that would erupt right before. And I found that what it did was it kept my wounds open. So my heart was open and I was able to be that much more connected. But also, while everything's open and gushing, whatever they're experiencing, they're able to actually have that healing as well. And so, because you're in that frequency. So, yeah. And I love that Melissa was there so she can reflect that back to you and still say, like, thank you, they helped me. Because we think sometimes we have to be all healed and our life has to be perfect to show up for others. And it's actually, that's usually when we need to show up for others, is when we have the chaos. So we can go back in and feel the centeredness.
Definitely.
Mm. Anything else you'd like to share?
Well, thank you.
Okay. Well, has anybody been doing sessions that they had any questions on or anything else come up for you?
So, I have kind of a weird question, but you know,
Oh, yeah.
um So I know that like you'll like write and then you'll burn it and get rid of things, but I guess I'm just trying to figure out because like sometimes I'll tune in and clear in therapy sessions. Obviously, I have to be very careful how I write my notes, but I am still like it is still part of a permanent record.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So like so I don't know if there's something else I should be doing. Do you know what I mean? So like and again, like I use different words, but like say for example, like I don't know, the other day I tuned in and found like a roadblock with a client. So like this client is being held back by the emotion of grief or whatever it was. I don't remember. Do you know what I mean? So like since it is permanent, like is there additional steps I should be taking after?
What would it look like to write the notes in past tense? Client didn't have.
Okay.
So as if it's something that was
Yeah.
like, that's typically what I'll do if like, and I even tell clients this as well, like, because they have a session, their mind is blown, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, I got to tell everybody, oh, I have this roadblock. No, you just called it back in. So I always tell them, make sure you use past tense when you are sharing. So in your notes, I would just put everything in past tense.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, cleared for them a roadblock that they had with this emotion that they were feeling at the time. Yeah, like as much as you can to say this is no longer active, it is cleared. And even at the bottom, just put cleared or released.
Okay.
Something like that. So that if somebody were reading it, they wouldn't go, ooh, that's what's currently going on. They're like, oh, this is what's past going on.
Well, and that's what's tricky is because it's a note that potentially an insurance agency could read. So like I have like a separate note that I keep for myself. So I could put like cleared in that, but I can't put cleared in an insurance note.
Yeah. So then I would just do it in past tense, but then in your
Okay, perfect.
cleared.
Okay.
And then because you probably do them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So I would just make sure that yours says cleared.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
typically for mine, I'm like, oh, here, grandbaby threw my notebook on the floor. So for mine, if you look at my sessions, I just put a really big X through the whole thing.
Right.
Notes. So something like that, or even if you have the data in your personal notes, you could do the strike through. So everything is
Okay.
struck through, but you can still read it if you need to reference it for, you
Yeah.
know, therapist purposes, but then it's all struck through. So even as you read it, you remember your mind is like, oh, this is cleared. We don't need to reactivate anything. Or if
Okay.
somebody were to read the records, it's already struck through.
But assessed and processed.
Ooh, there you go.
Ah,
I like that. Okay.
good idea, Emily. Assessed and processed. I love it. Any other questions, shares? We have the full moon coming up. Who's excited for that?
Like, I don't know how much more of this I can take.
A lot of centeredness. What I've been finding in the collective energy is there's a lot of even as I was so my so I'll just share a little bit. So Stella Joe got a 5-day notice to vacate her apartment that she's been leasing. And they didn't renew the lease. And she's like, hey, I haven't gotten a new lease. She's already had 2 leases that have expired, and she just stays and they send a new lease. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're working on it. I'll get it to you soon. And then an hour later, you need to be out of the place in 5 days. So she didn't have a place to live. School, and it was the night before school started. School's already started, so student housing is out of the picture. So it was a bit of chaos. But then my other daughter, Aubrey, ended up getting a place that had 3 bedrooms, and they wanted a roommate, but they were going to wait a while, and they weren't really sure. So now both kids are living together, and we moved them today. So it was really good because I'm like, oh, actually, this is great because you're trans, which means you don't really fit in the male or female housing, and now there's housing that is aligned for you. And it's Aubrey, her boyfriend, and Stella. And I actually just got back from moving all the stuff. And it was really interesting because as we were going through all of this chaos process, we had some conversations that were pretty intense. because they're very much into politics. And do you know what's going on in the world right now? The world's ending and doomsday and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but the world was ending 10 years ago, and the world was ending 10 years before that, and 10 years before that. And humanity cycles in these cycles of complete destruction. And then, oh, we were a bunch of idiots. Let's do something about this and come together again. Oh, and then we get power hungry. And so there's all these cycles going on. And one of the things that kept coming up was the amount of relationships that have been seen as healthy and normal and happy all of a sudden aren't, and it just flips. And also people who are all of a sudden choosing out of living, whether through taking their own life or through like accidents or the body just shutting down. And so it's interesting with these polarities that are so extreme because a lot of the truth is erupting and people are starting to like wake up and not ignore things anymore or tolerate things that they used to, whether it's positive or negative. And so it's just been really interesting to see this coming forward and also to see it in kind of each of our lives. Like for me, for example, I was like, something's coming up I can't ignore anymore. Oh, the bubble in my floor. Let's get it with a sledgehammer. And sure enough, it made like this big anatomical heart, which I poured epoxy. The epoxy all ran out. So we're going to do several layers of epoxy, and it's going to be a process, and my studio is still closed. So then I've been going outside and painting because there's this surplus of energy that's coming through. And it's really important that we give ourselves those centered outlets of creativity, like Devin in your drawing, and even Melissa, like resetting your space, making sure that you're letting yourself have the things that normally you'd say, oh, this is a waste of time. It's actually helping you to stay in your centeredness. Um, oh, Linda says she's driving home from seeing her father who's been in hospice. Oh, sending you love, Linda. If you want to chime in and you want to talk, feel free. But there's this extra intense eruption that's happening, and making sure that you have those wasting time, creative, playful outlets will help you to have that centeredness. Because people don't, if you get sucked into the whirlwind of chaos and you drop your frequency, then you're not going to be there for the people who like they're just hanging by a thread and all they need is a little bit of you. And so it's kind of that moment where we get to go, oh, actually, come here. I will be a beacon. You can gravitate to me. And even though there's chaos going on and I've got my shit too, like I'm here with you and we can look at it and dive deeper and keep digging at it. There's a few things that I've been personally digging at because I'm seeing them very common in the collective, but I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet. So when I do, I will be sure to share just some really interesting things that don't quite make sense yet that have been coming through in my channelings. So yeah, there's a lot coming through and a lot opening up, and it's coming through in ways that aren't the normal. If you haven't, has anybody else noticed that? Things coming through in different directions or backwards from what you're used to. But I think it's also our beautiful team of spirit guides that are accessing us in a way that will be kind of taken out of our regular routine, that boredom where it's like, oh, okay, here I am, and I'm doing this meditation again, and I'm walking through this forest again, and I'm going to this place, and I'm pure light. Now it's like, oh, actually, we're way over here, and it feels so jarring, but also so aligned at the same time. So it feels like that's just new frequencies coming in to help support people. Oh, Melissa says, sending lots of love, Linda.
Well, and I think it's kind of interesting, and you and I were talking, but like when I did that class with Laura Fredrickson, who I think is Lemurian, but that's a different story. Just in terms of like kind of like the sovereignty that shifted and how like, I don't know, to some degree it's like we're supported, but also like trying to figure it out a little bit on our own first and then be like, okay, now what?
Well, and there is this breaking of spiritual codependency that I've seen a lot of, where we're like, Spirit, just tell me what to do. And Spirit's like, what do you want? Do whatever you want. And it's like, I don't know what I want because I want what will get me what I want. But you know what you want. So what do you want to ask for it? Do you want to try and figure it out? And then if you're off, we'll help you. like recently I had some things that came up a few weeks ago, and I did a fire ceremony where I burned it not to get rid of it, but to offer it to spirit. And I think everybody's participated in some form of a burn ceremony, and it comes from Rick. That's where I learned the ritual from. And I did one, and it's amazing how fast it worked. Like it was really like I'm still kind of like, wow. But as I burned, I gave permission for my guides to intervene. And I said, I need support with this. I'm handing it to you. Please intervene because I am at a point where I cannot control the situation. So it's in your hands. And it was like immediately. And then here we are 2 weeks later. And then the second half just happened yesterday. And I was like, oh, I wish I put more in the fire. That was really fast. But it was about me claiming it and then trusting it and then willing to hand it over, but with direction. So it wasn't just like, Jesus, take the wheel. Wherever you tell me to go, I'll go. It's like, no, this is what I want. This is the direction I want. This is what I'm asking for, and I'm asking for your intervention so that they now have a charge of what to do rather than telling me what to do. Does that make sense? And we are programmed that way. I feel like religion does a lot of that for us, where it teaches us no, this is the path you're supposed to do, and this is what you're supposed to look like, and life's supposed to look like. And it's like, actually, I don't think that's true. One of the deep dives that I've been doing is into even just the whole love relationship thing. You guys have probably seen it in my social media because I'm experimenting with some conversations that Rick and I had. And I'm like, you know what? I just want to experiment with the frequency, and I'm going to see what happens. And one of the things that I'm really diving into is the different types of relationships we have and marriage and love and all of these things, and are they actually liberating, and when they are liberating, what do they look like? And like I said, I haven't gotten to the bottom yet, but I sent it to the womb healing group, but I'll send it to this group as well if anybody's interested. It has the 5 spheres of love and the different types of love, and it's not just romance, but understanding the different levels, and each level is not incorrect. And again, it's just raw. It's not even like I'm like I still need to process this and I still need to reword it, but I'm curious to see what everyone else's brains do with the information. So I would love your feedback on that because there are a lot of societal constructs that are crumbling right now. And I mean, even according to my politics focused children, even our government seems to be crumbling in so many areas or going into the dictatorships and more control, which causes other parts of us to start resisting that as well. And so I think that there's a layer there of spirit saying, hey, don't be codependent on me, because there's also 3D things that are saying, hey, don't be codependent as well, or resisting that, being told what to do and then just following orders. Linda, since you just popped in, do you want to share? Are you in a space where you want to? Okay.
Yeah, I just jumped off the freeway. So I am parked. I'm not driving on the freeway
Okay.
anymore.
Yes. Okay.
A lot of what you were saying is, yeah, I've got emotions going on. Not a very good, like, not close with my father. So that's been interesting watching him go through this. He's definitely fighting. He's not ready to go. He's fighting to go, but I can see him every time I've been going out once a week, and the words, he's just not finding the words. He's not able to share what's going on through his mind, but he every once in a while he starts talking and sharing how things are changing, and like, not his words, but things are shifting, and we need to be prepared and we need to be ready for what's coming. And we need to, like, he's got his bag that's packed, and he talks about he doesn't his metaphorical bag of things that he's ready to be able to, what's his words that I can't think of what he shared. But he's just, everyone that goes and visits him, it's the conversation that he has every time, telling them that they need to be prepared for the deconstruction of what is what is happening now. And he's like, really shouldn't be with us right now. So he is like fully not, like, he's choosing to be here. When I check in with my guides, there's somebody that he's waiting for. And I think this happens with anyone who has illness that's on hospice. They're waiting for that last person, but his message is to prepare yourself, to get in alignment with yourself, listen to you and not to God, is what he references. um you need to follow like your gut. I can't remember all of the words that he uses, but it's been interesting to sit with him as I'm getting my downloads and I'm listening and pulling in with what is happening in the collective and the conversations that I've been having with others, with not years ago calling in guides and ancestors and everything to be able to support.
You froze. Can you repeat?
Yeah, I don't know how far it was.
Just right before the ancestors.
Calling in help support us, or our guides, or whatever, whoever we call upon to give us the answers. But seeing that shift in conversations over the last month, 6 weeks, where people are asking for, words are not coming, but asking their guides and their spirits to clear the path so that they can have the clarity to get the answers themselves, where we're more in alignment with what's coming from inside rather than pulling it from outside of us. My mind is all over the place. I'm sorry that there was things that I wanted to share. Okay. I've done 2 or 3 podcasts. I've jumped on and talked about different connections and channeling, and just that message has been in the collective. It's been in multiple people who don't even know each other, have no connections in the human world or even social media, and everyone is having that same conversation. So it just has been powerful for me. Going back, my connection that I wanted to make was going back to my ancestor oil that imploded, and how things are coming to me in more of a spiral than in the past. I would get I would get direction and guidance from the end, and work from the end to where the present is. And now it's been this spiral. So having the ancestors with me, I've not been able to put away the whole bottle that imploded. The glass is still sitting in the package, sitting on my coffee table. It's still sitting there. Melina delivered the new bottle today, and the new bottle is sitting right next to it. But just opening up and listening. The words are hard. I'm so sorry. This is very much a struggle, and I'm fighting back tears and everything else.
You're making sense.
Over the last 2 weeks, I was like jumping from what is healing with the ancestors. I've been able to have connections with my nieces that I haven't seen. I went and I spent all day Saturday with them. Feeling like I can reach out to my sister, who I've not talked to, who cut me off 4 years ago, and kept my nieces from me from being able to build that relationship. So having that all come in that spiral and full circle, just a lot of emotional things happening. And then the conversations that my dad's having is just so weird. I've had people that have passed before and not talked sort of that language. Like he's definitely channeling more so than just the kind of end of life gibberish stuff. So it's uh been pretty powerful and coming out in some crazy, crazy dreams and a lot of emotions, that roller coaster of extreme, extreme emotions. Last week I had my treatment on Monday and I felt like I was like somebody had like I just had like a caffeine drip that like prednisone, or if you've had that prednisone, that was 3 times the energy that I had last week. I came home from treatment on Monday, couldn't sleep, was awake until 3 a.m., was channeling. I filled like almost an entire journal of I some that I can read, some that I can't, and just allowing stuff to flow. So there's a lot coming through. I don't have like specific events that have come to me. It's just been things that have been the messages that are coming through, and that I'm hearing, the words that are coming through have been pretty powerful. And I feel like I just rambled. I don't even know what any of that meant. So it'll be interesting to me to go back and listen to what I shared, because I don't even remember any of it.
Well, and it matches in with what we were talking about, with things feeling like they're kind of backwards, especially in the spiritual world and like the way we're working with spirit. In fact, Rick and I were talking last week about this, where he said, it's fascinating because he's actually closed doing readings. He's not doing any new readings for any non-existing clients, just because he's alchemizing this new energy that's coming through and he wants to calibrate it. And he said, well, it's just interesting because in the past, I would get spirals and swirls and colors, and then they'd come into a form and I'd get all these little details, and these detail pieces would match things for the person. And basically this huge colorful story would come. And then with the story pieces, they would get to what the message was. And he's like, but now it's so direct. It's like, and here's the shit. Precision. And I'm like listening to him, and then I'm having this sudden awareness. I'm like, that's really fascinating, because for me, I've always been really direct. And now I'm seeing like violet flames. I'm seeing people shapeshift. I'm getting these unrelated seemingly scenarios and visions and things that come in, and all of this detail to go with the pin dot. I'm like, where normally it would just be the pin dot. And so I'm like, so when did this first start? And he's like, about when we were in Columbia. I'm like, Rick, did we like touch and switch powers? Like body swap? I'm like, I think we switched powers because I'm you and you're me. Can you teach me how to deal with this? Because I'm seeing all kinds of stuff. But we were just joking, of course. But it's interesting because his gifts have flipped to more my style, and mine have flipped to more of his style. And so it's interesting you say yours is colorful, because what you described is similar to the way he describes his gifts. And he's like, it's just, here's your message. And it only took me 5 minutes to deliver it. And I'm used to having this whole session. So now I feel like I have to look at, is it valuable if they don't get this whole dramatic display of information and all this confirmation? And it's like, here it is. It's very direct. And I'm like, oh, see, and that's funny because that's what we do, is we give this very direct. And now if you want to discuss it, allow yourself, the client or ourselves, to link it and see where it maps in and understand it deeper. And so it's very interesting, as your gifts are shifting, if you've experienced that, pay attention to, oh, is this just a different language? Rather than, oh, I'm cut off, I'm just not connected to spirit, because it's not the easy go-to channels that we've always done. And there are several people that I've talked to who feel like we're in this spiritual warfare. There is this non-physical war that's going on, this huge influx of energies and perpendicular beings. I like the word perpendicular because that means they intersect, right? And they can stop each other. And so there's this perpendicular energies going on. And so perhaps, this again, just an idea. Perhaps some of these gifts are shifting into a different dynamic to allow us to have a clear channel, almost like in war times when there's the uh, code talkers that have like a secret code and strategy so that they convey messages without them being intercepted. And so if you start to experience like feeling like you're not accessing what you used to be able to access, see if there's a different way that they're communicating to you, because that's maybe a more direct way if there's a lot of interference energetically. Now, if there's a spiritual war going on or not, we don't really know, because if we believe there is, then we almost create that construct. So, but there is a lot of energy noise and interference going in. So some of these different styles are a way for us to learn a new skill and access the information we need, but then also to have that moment of sovereignty, like you mentioned, where we allow ourselves to feel that full empowerment of making the choice, making the action, and then calling in our spiritual troops to come and support us in creating that action. So yeah, this is what we're built for. Ta-da! How you feeling, Devin? You're covering your whole face. So does that mean you have something to say?
I feel like you literally just said what I've needed to hear, because like how I used to get information doesn't come in the same way either. And I've had those points over the last weeks where I feel cut off, but then I get like different sensations that I'm not used to. And unfortunately, they're not the fun ones. Like, you get a message and then you pull over on the side of the road and throw up in front of everybody. And weird stuff like close your eyes while you drive, Devin. And yeah, I did it. I didn't crash.
I do not recommend this.
I don't recommend it, but I'm all like, oh, okay.
And
Those,
oh, go ahead.
oh, I can totally relate to this. This is like a lot that's coming through that I can't explain. It's those impulsive, like I don't want to use the word impulsive, but it is like hurry and do this. And it's super fast. And it's things that I would never, that aren't safe or that I would never have done before. But it trust keeps coming through. And those little moments of whatever glimmers that come through to try this and push boundaries, it has been nonstop.
It's that playing with that masculine feminine energy, right? Because we think the feminine energy is creation and the masculine is action, action, action. But the feminine does embody that masculine energy to take action, just like giving birth. It's like, it's time, and everything and all forces say, I must do this now, I act. And this is kind of funny because like last night, my family was laughing at me because it was 9 o'clock at night and I carefully lifted and like, what's the term, like where you pick up furniture and you turn it to like strategically move it without dragging it on my new floor in my studio, because half of it was still tacky and wet. And all of a sudden I got this all in impulse, I need to sand and refinish my cedar chest at 9 o'clock at night in the dark outside. And so I move it out and I'm like, this is, Holly, you're obsessive. Like, just stop. You can find something else to do. And it's like, no, I have to do this now. And I'm like, wow, is this like an ADHD thing? I'm like, I don't know, but we're just going to do it because it feels good. And so I'm moving it out. And Wubbas is helping me. And he's on one end. He's like, oh, grunting and dragging. The cutest little thing ever. And I'm like trying not to have him step in the tacky epoxy on the floor. And then I'm moving things over. And I get it out there. And then I get him settled inside. And then I'm out there in like barely any light. Like I have just the little spotlight and I'm sanding down this cedar chest that I hold my leathers and my furs and my feathers in. Those of you who've been to my studio. And I'm sanding it out like, and then I rotate it and it's solid cedar. And then I sand another little part and then I start to finish it and I flip it up and there are spider webs and there's a black widow. And I'm like, oh crap, what do I have? Because it's dark. And so they're active. And if it gets away, I won't be able to see it. And so literally the only thing I had was this little wood block that my Aubrey painted for me like when she was 10 or something. And I still have it. It was 3 blocks. It said, I love you. So I actually took the love block and I squished it with the love block because it was out because I had been cleaning things. And I usually keep it in my window. And I'm like, huh. And I just took a second and I paused. I was like, it may have had nothing to do with needing to finish the cedar chest because I had been shopping for a big, huge, fluffy cushion. So I'm like, why am I going to refinish this and stain it and sand it and seal it if I'm just putting a fucking cushion on top? Like, it doesn't make sense. But I'm like, but it feels good to do it. So I'm just going to do it, even though I have 50,000 other things to do. And then I just sat with that and I was like, that was protection because it was in my studio space where we are all the time. And so I told Sheena, I was like, so guess what was underneath the cedar chest? And she's like, a scorpion. I'm like, no, there was a black widow. And, I haven't seen one in the house for years and years. And I spray regularly. And yes, I sprayed this morning, everything like 6 gallons. So now I'm going to have to detox my body from any pesticides. But it was like, how did that get in? How did that get there? But it was like all of this impulse was saying, do this thing that seems like a complete waste of time. Like people are waiting for you to respond to them. You have art that's half painted. Yeah, we're going to bring up another project. And so that's kind of what this reminds me of is, and I even told Sheena and she's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, hey, hold on. Remember, we were protected. Like what, and that was the end that Wubbas was trying to lift and hold and tuck his hands underneath. And when I looked at it closer, you could see the webs. So like had his little chubby fingers all around that side. And I was like, but we were protected, but we were protected. We were able to say, hey, here's a danger. Take care of it now. And you're not going to spray inside your room. So let's move the bug outside and then you can take care of it. So I thought that was really interesting, kind of goes along with a lot of this because we don't understand what might be hidden or in the background. And so we think, oh, we're crazy and we delay things. But if we are delaying something and we feel, following those emotions, we feel that agitation, we feel that obsessiveness over something, then lean into it. And maybe that obsessiveness is because that is the path for the moment, even if it's just to doodle some eyeballs, Devin, or a wiener dog, move through that, but also put your brain into that theta state so that you're more receptive to spirit as it comes through and that information as comes through. And this morning I looked at the chest and it looked like shit and I had to redo it. It looks like the sprinklers hit. I was like, we just have to redo everything we just did last night. But the spider is gone. And that was the important piece. And so I didn't weigh myself down. I didn't feel bad about it. I was just like, well, we're just going to do another layer and we can sand it and seal it again. And it's still outside and I will spray it with bug spray before it comes back in. But like, I'm like, cedar's supposed to keep bugs away. What the fuck? Only moths. Only keeps moths away. So, yeah, allowing ourselves to lean into that and do the creative outlets, let that feminine energy surge in. And if the masculine's coming in and saying action, 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 it's probably time. Oh, I want to read this. Melissa, I feel like that is how my job switch was. Sort of got the urge to call this person, called her, asked for a job, and the job offered the same day. Normally, it's not that fast. Yeah, things are moving very fast once we decide once we allow ourselves to be open. Like I hadn't even thought of refinishing that chest. Like didn't even have a single thought until that moment was the first thought I had. Like, oh, I should do that. Boom. So
I've been getting a lot of that. Like just all kinds of random visuals. Closing my eyes in the shower and I can just see this glowing eyeball. It's like an eye. So her eye, so all Devin's eyes, it's like, and I'm like closing my eyes tight and like trying to like open, like to like make it go away and it's just there, but my eyes are closed. I don't know. It's such a trip. But it's like this neon yellow. The color of like the iris is like this neon yellow. I tried to draw it and there's a heart in the middle. And it's just, I was like, okay, I see you, but I don't understand. But I see you. I'm opening my eyes, but you're not there, but then I close my eyes and you're there. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to get from this, but I see
Maybe doodle
you.
it out with some ritual.
Yeah, no, I have. I'm like literally on a conference call the next day at work and I'm like drawing this eye. Someone comes in my office and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I hallucinated this eyeball in the shower this morning and I'm just trying to draw it because it was so wild.
I have to say, when I see things and I try and hurry and draw them in my journal, they're like my worst art ever. Like nobody on the planet would know what most of them are, but I can remember because I put a physical frequency there. Like, nope, we're gonna remember
Right.
this.
Yeah, it was just it's wild. The things that are happening.
But yeah,
It's
making
also kind of wild that throughout this whole conversation, spirals and eyeballs have been a reoccurring theme. And my most recent drones, spiral, spiral, and I try to do wings on the back of my dragon and it turned into an eyeball. So, I mean, there's something there.
I have a Yoni painting because I have the Yoni series that I'm doing, and I decided to just start and do all the backgrounds, and then I'm kind of jumping between them. And one of them is an eyeball as well.
That's what's in my yoni.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I was laughing. I was like, oh my goodness, I had one. Spirals and eyeballs, they're coming in.
Spirals and eyeballs.
Talk. Random. So the person whose office I'm taking over and cleaning out, he's not at all a rock person or anything, but there it was the seashell, like the polished seashell rock. Like I don't know why I don't.
Hmm.
They're
Oh, the
like
It's
ammonite.
the
fossilized.
Shiva, or not Shiva.
No, the ammonite.
Yes, on the desk. And today when I was cleaning and I was like, oh, we're keeping you. I was like, spritz, sit with the selenite and the tourmaline, the black tourmaline I brought. Because you're mine now.
Yes.
Was it this one or was it the shell?
It's like gray. It's like it
It's
looks
like
like
the
a
fossil.
polished
Yeah.
stone, but it's like it's not like anyone I've ever seen. I'll have to post a picture in the group tomorrow because
It's
I I
small.
have like
Oh,
a necklace that has
like
one that's
this?
like that brown, yeah, like that. But this one looks different. I've never seen one like it. So I'm excited. I always like it when I find a new rock I've
Like
never
these.
found before. Yeah, it's like this, but it's like gray and white. It's so weird. And I didn't look at it super close. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you can't see me pointing at yours, Holly, but I am.
Oh, actually, I wasn't looking at anything except for to see if you guys could see it. So, but I knew
Wow.
you were pointing at it. Yeah.
This is like, show me yours, I'll show you mine.
I put one of these in the center of my new heart floor.
I
So
love it.
now I have to figure out if I can move my workbench so people can just lay their heart on the heart. But I'm going to do that. Be like, here. So, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my God.
But that means that my workbench has to like block the hallway. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it's on wheels. I can wheel it out of the way. It'll be fine. But yeah,
Zoom.
it's yeah. To me, it's a heart. I don't know if it looks like a heart to everybody else, but I know what it is.
It's a heart.
But I had like this, like a bucket of rose quartz that went to the floor, just as one of the arteries. And then it's got I wanted to do little veins, but I had to make everything super flat. And so there was a tree branch that I loved that I saw after the hurricane. It looks like it's related to a type of pine, but it looks like little fingers. It's so cool. And so I brought home a branch that had fallen post hurricane last year from Florida. And I've just had it and it was dried. And so I actually placed it and it was still together, but then I kind of broke it apart and made little veins out of it. But if you look really closely, it looks like a snake because you know those little plastic snakes with the links and you can move it, the little toys, like the cheap toys snakes. It looks like that, but it's like one goes into another. So it's like little links like this. Tink. So each one all the way down. And so it's like all these little links in the veins. You guys will all have to come see and lay your heart on the heart and see what happens.
That's interesting you say that because where you're talking about snakes in the wood, it's the year of the wood snake, isn't it?
Yeah. And one of these is in the center as well with the dove feathers. I have 8 dove feathers that shoot out around it on a wood slab. That was broken and I put back together so it would be an easy step into the room. So
And you put it in your heart,
it's in the middle
and
of
it dates infinity. So,
Mhm. And they were all collected outside the day I did it. So, yeah. Yeah. And there's lots of lavender, just for anyone wondering, tons of it. All in the floor, only on top of the rose quartz, though.
don't let a man lay his heart on that floor on your sprigs.
Of course, he can lay his heart. He has to hand one to me, and he can't if it's glued in the floor. We're fine. Hey, on that happy note,
I have a question.
that was one of the things that went to the fire. What was your, did you say you have another question?
I do. Um, I don't even know how to ask this. Um, so I'm in the middle of this book and I'm really struggling with what is coming out in it. So Lilith has popped in quite a bit and it's getting harder and harder. And I remember a couple weeks ago, I made a comment about I went through this weird phase where I just did not like men. And Lilith popped in during that. And I'm having a hard time understanding like what the symbolism of Lilith is because I really struggle with when it starts getting to like Christianity. And that's what that book is kind of leaning into that I can't comprehend because there's that block that I have with Christianity. And I'm trying to understand what she is. I get she's a rebellion, don't lay underneath the man. I understand that part, but I can't understand the other part.
Well, and I don't even see her as rebellion. For me, she's sovereignty,
Okay.
unto herself.
Okay. Because, like, the book, like, it's painting her, like, horrific. And I'm just like, I made it 22 pages in, and I'm just like, I can't read this.
So maybe don't.
You don't have to read it. No, no
Oh,
one's
I'm
making
not
you.
finishing it, but I'm just I'm like, I'm trying to learn about you because I'm like, I don't know where you came from because it opened up this whole world of like my Lilith in Pisces and like with the Black Moon Lilith in astrology and just a lot of different things about like it actually like kind of started my childhood started flashing up like unprocessed stuff that I didn't remember and then that's when she started coming in a little bit more is when I started like having these weird dreams that I don't remember having like
A book written by a man.
no it's by Nikki I think her name's Nikki. But no, it's not written by a man. And maybe I'm not that far in. I've made it 22 pages and I'm like and it
I
also
mean,
a whole story about how it like starts being like she's gonna turn into the snake and she's going to go save Eve and I'm just like this isn't well, I'm like, where's this bullshit coming from?
Well, and it's
I
the
mean, women
same,
have women wounds too.
it's the same thing with Mary Magdalene. So when you have sacred work that comes through, and then you have the feminine made evil, one of the questions that I ask when I read stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is who is benefiting from the story. And sometimes seeing what they're poking at, it's usually the opposite. So even when I read books on, like, I'm checking my demonology books, just to see if she's in here. When I'm reading books on like the demonology, you can look at what they say they're evil about, and then using your own discernment and your own intuition, you can ask for the clarity of understanding what the real story is. So if they talk about she turns into the snake, oh, she was very connected to her sacral and her sexuality and her sovereignty.
Mhm.
And she knew her power even when she wasn't speaking up. Snakes are very silent, super silent. And that's one of the reasons why we fear them so much, because anciently, when people were sleeping in trees, a snake could come in the night and kill you and you wouldn't hear a sound. And so you wouldn't hear them coming. So it's that the power that isn't seen on the outside. So you can dive into some of those and see if there's information that comes in deeper there. I'm just going to see if she happens to be in here.
Yeah, they just said that she came and she's with Eve. And I'm just like, that's not the story I remember. I'm like, okay.
That's just one
Just
interpretation because nobody has the original.
yeah.
If you look up,
Oh, look,
like
I
I
opened
just
right to
Googled,
her. She's in my demon book. So I can send the whole thing to you if you want, because it is long. But there she is. This is also known as oh, Lilith grew wings and flew from Eden. So this is, I've also seen Inanna depicted as this. They don't really know, but yeah. So there she is. She doesn't look like a demon to me.
No.
She's holding what looks to be an ankh, interestingly enough. So this book, The Dictionary of Demons, and if you're going to do demon work, these two are ones that I prefer, but also it is a book of demons. And the reason why I study them is because it's important to know what you're working with or what you might be faced against. So these are ones that came recommended, but I don't use them the way the book tells you to. For example, this one has sigils. And this is the Lesser King of Solomon, Lemon Bridgerton. Yeah, however you say that. When I got my, whenever I get a book that has that lower vibrational energy, I actually place a grid on top and I charge them and cleanse them and repurpose them before I'll even open them. So, but when you have symbols, well, here, and Lilith is not in this one. But when you have symbols like this,
I just don't see her as a demon, so it's interesting that she's in that book. But I mean, she's
all the well,
female.
she's an evil female instead, which is a
Yeah.
demon. Mary Magdalene was the same way until recently, and she's still talked about as a prostitute and a whore. So, but when you see symbols like this and there's a seal around them, the seal is like a dog collar. It's controlling the demons to do their bidding. So when we
Like,
get into patriarchal societies and wanting control, if you're able to control these beings and have them showing up as an evil, then it allows you to have other beings that show up as the light or the angels. And then you create duality and control and God and Satan and hell. And now you have people in fear because you control them. So whenever I do see sigils or symbols that recommend it, that represent a demon, if you draw them in the form or work with them in the form that has the ring, it's like having that control, which means they are more likely to show up in an evil or dark form because they're being controlled. However, it was churches that are the ones who started that. So,
oh,
yeah. So asking the question, who does this story benefit? Does this story empower a person to open up their own intuition, understand that they are made of stardust, that they're connected to gods, that they can create their reality, they can have hopes and dreams, and they get to be loved, and they are enough, and they don't need to give money to churches or worship somebody outside of themselves, then it's probably correct. If the story serves to tell somebody you need to operate this way, be in this box, you need to give your power to me in servitude in order to get blessings or joy, then odds are it's not correct, or it's not actual truth. It's distorted. And this is where your discernment comes in, because what I may perceive may be different from what you may perceive. But it's important that you find that discernment by just asking that question. Who does this story serve? Is this turning me into a slave in fear and making me feel shut down? Or is it making me feel expansive? And so when I don't, because you guys are practitioners, I don't mind sharing that, like, I read about demons and I study them, and they aren't necessarily what you think. But part of the reason I study them is because not all that are portrayed as demons are demons. And a lot of them are actually beautiful sovereign beings with wisdom, light, and healing that chose not to conform to everybody worship this one God.
We also have to understand them, because if somebody feels like they have something controlling them and you're helping them in a session, if there's a hook or something, you got to understand what you're working with and how to keep yourself safe and how to only let love and light stay.
And if somebody believes in a different construct than what you believe in, you need to still use that verbiage. Otherwise, their mind won't accept it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't go around telling people, by the way, I study demon books and I've been known to invoke demons. Only one specific. But if we go to that, then Lilith is a demon too. So, in fact, if you study deep enough, the term Lucifer was originally a woman, meaning morning star, which is Venus. And it is the light coming through, and it is the ability to create life. And that is Satan. If you create life, you're challenging God, and now you're evil. So, like, there's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down. And so it's important that we use that discernment of dark or light, not necessarily titles and names. And a lot of the history we've been taught has been manipulated to create slaves, and us giving our power to somebody. It matches, I think I shared this somewhere in one of the calls, but if I'm repeating myself, spirit likes to repeat itself. When I was up in Mount Shasta, and I was with this beautiful individual after kirtan meditation and all this stuff, we decided to go on a hike and go to the caves, and we stopped to meditate. And, he's telling me about his guru. He's like, oh, she is powerful. She is Kuan Yin embodied. And I'm like, well, so am I. Like, yep, I got a vein of her in me. Yep, absolutely. Like, I'm here to end suffering. Yep, that's me. I'm Kuan Yin. Well, you can also have Kuan Yin, yeah. But he was like, no, she is like the one true guru, and I say that in jest because the more he talked, the more this unfolding in my mind kept happening, where he said, well, I'm trying to follow and put off, like, don the robes and shave my head and become a full devotee and put off all the human things, but I really love sex and I really love not. And I'm like, well, great. I really love sex too. This is great. He's also the same individual that said, why is everything a pussy to you? You just want to get fucked. And I went, ha, you misunderstand completely. Because no, I do not. And I definitely don't want to fuck you. Like, no. If you thought I was, like, I was very clear. I'm like, are you saying that because you think I want to fuck you? Because I don't. And I didn't even let him answer, and I walked away. I was like, nah. Anyways, but as he talked about her, he's like, she's everywhere. She's formless and she's so wise. And she says none of her devotees have ever gone hungry. And I'm like, yeah, but they've probably eaten beans off the floor for a meal. Like, they're not enjoying life. They're actually giving their energy to this person. So of course, this guru is so powerful and gifted because each devotee is offering all of their light and essence to her. So it is, in a sense, a slavery, without even knowing they're enslaved, because they're choosing to give that power, and then all the power goes into one generator, which now is that much stronger. Just like religion, it's the same thing. You're all praying together in a community focused on one intent and something is offered. Miracles do happen. There's a book called, I believe, The Power of Eight. I don't remember the name of the author, but they talk about, they did some studies where they had 8 people gather together in a circle and only focus on one thought, one intent, and creating this wave of manifestation. And so anything that we give intent to, we literally are creating. So if we have a lot of people saying, oh, these beings show up as a demon, they're going to be showing up as a demon. If you have these beings and you say, actually, this one is a God, actually, I am God, then you get to show up that way too. And so that's where we get into tricky waters with all the different belief systems, because yes, they're all true, because it's whatever you believe in becomes true. Whatever matters to you becomes matter. And so even though there's this powerful guru who's amazing and miracles happen every day, there's the energy of these people that are going into the guru, giving that power, which is also still beautiful because then she's able to do healing and miracles and they're excited to offer that to her. So there's a little tangent of things. But I will definitely send the Lilith portion. Yeah, because it's like two full pages because it starts with another being and then it goes on. But if you do want to just inform yourself on the demons, this book is what I would recommend. The Dictionary of Demons by M. Ballinger. Names of the Damned. And you have to kind of take that filter and go, okay, this is just for informational purposes. I do keep mine with crystals around it, charged, so that it doesn't become any type of portal, which I really love.
No, that's super smart.
Yeah. Because also once you start opening up and getting curious about things, things start poking through. Even the demon Astaroth, who's in here, she is the origination of Inanna. So that's originally one of the reasons why I did start studying that. And that's the only one that I've ever really worked with, just because she predates Inanna. But it is a completely different energy. And when I first started coming through, I went, and had the whole reaction that we all would. And then when she was needed, I just like peeked and it was what was needed.
Yeah, some of that stuff scares the bejesus out of me.
Well, and that's where like just educating yourself in little pieces is fine. Or you can message me and I can send you specific beings from this book. So yeah, but it's definitely something to tread very carefully with, and I am very protective. So yeah, I don't play with it. I use it for educational purposes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm also not recommending you play with it, but like if you need it for education. But Lilith is in here, so I will send you that. But this is also layered with demons are evil. So the word Lil means storm. I just looked down and read that.
Oh.
The origination of the name is night and storm. Destructive forces such as storms, earthquakes, and disease.
Wow.
She haunts the deserts and wastelands. She's
That was
also
the first
translated
time.
as the screech owl. Yeah,
Huh.
dragon. Those were just the things that jumped out. Oh, and she's also connected to Lucifer. Like interchangeable. So there you go, Morning Star.
Interesting.
Yeah. Especially when you talk about the cosmic womb being the star and the fallen star meaning the one that comes, the death and rebirth. Mm.
Of course, always death and rebirth.
Yeah. So I will send this over. Any other shares? Melissa, we love you. Okay, we went like way over, but I think that was a good tangent.
I am complete and I'm scared.
Oh, well, if you're not scared, then I kind of wonder if you're even paying attention or if you're half asleep because you get scared a lot. In a good way. In a good way. That may not have been delivered the way I meant it, but
No, I took it.
okay. Yeah. Because when you say you're scared, I'm like, oh, good. She's expanding.
Thank you.
Okay, I love you guys. Have an amazing night.
Bye.
Bye.